update yesterday was general and performance improvements.
Hey, look, what the heck's going on here? We got all these people. And look,
It's a party.
this guy, it is a party. Let me see which way am I pointing. This way. This way. This guy over here, I told Brad earlier, my dad made that when I was in the single digits back in Silver Spring in his workshop. He made a whole series of those, that Santa Claus, and I've had it all this time. And I just bring it out, I don't bring it out for Halloween, I bring it out for Christmas. But yeah, he made that, he had a wood shop and everything, so.
A little creative paint. You could bring it out for Halloween.
Well, that's true. That's absolutely true. So I'm going to introduce people. Let me see. I got to look down, and I got to look. Okay. Over here, I'm pointing the wrong way. Over here is Serena Catania. Now,
Hello.
people are going to change positions in the squares. Okay. I'm going to be doing that. Down there on the bottom left is Dason Ortiz, who's a motion expert guy. He's a big motion guy. Final Cut as well, but he runs Motion Master Templates. Is that it?
MotionMasterTemplates.com.
Yes, MotionMasterTemplates.com. In the middle, from Los Angeles, California, Michael.
We have a guest who's like coming over to see what's going on. So there you go. Say hi, Moch.
Oh my goodness, I have a cat that looks almost like that.
We have
Michael
three.
Yanovich.
This is the only one hanging out. What's up, everyone?
And right below me at this position is, everybody knows, Brad Olson. The guy from Off the Tracks.
I like how you're looking
Hello.
at Brad. Good touch.
Well, he's used to it. Brad's used to it.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Oh, I looked the wrong way. There we go.
Yeah. You gotta look. Yeah.
It's all mirrored, man.
Yeah.
So we got our first comment. I'm going to put the comments up here in the center. Rogero Oliveira. Happy holidays from Brazil. Absolutely. Happy holidays to you too as well. So we're going to talk about, first off, I have some breaking news about the Global Summit that we're going to talk about in a minute. I just got the news this morning. And we're going to talk about Final Cut Pro and Motion and 2022 and 2023 going forward, what we've seen in 2022 and what we perhaps think might be coming up in 2023. Now, Michael Yanovich in the middle, as a matter of fact, Michael, Brad, Serena. No, I'm just going to say you look very distinguished. You do.
So do you.
It's a nice way of saying gray.
Is that what it is?
It is.
Nice
I don't
way
have
of
a gray beard yet.
Oh, we got a comment from Wes Plate. There we go. Nice to see all your faces. Happy holidays.
What's up, Wes?
Ask Wes, how many miles have you run? If you total them.
Yeah, good
Total
question.
all of them up.
Good question.
Thousands.
He's amazing.
He is amazing.
40 again this year. I watched that video.
Let me just pull this down there. There we go. I'll be doing stuff on the fly the whole time. Now let me publish that. There we go. So three of you guys and gals were in the new documentary that I just put out on the Creative Summit. Did you guys get a chance to look at it? Have you seen yourself, Michael Yanovich?
I watched like the first 15 minutes. I haven't finished it yet. I'm going to. But I like the prescient part where I was threatening pitchforks for doing
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And we busted those out, if you recall.
Yes.
The timing, I was a little premature, but yes, it worked.
Yeah. No, it absolutely worked. Now, what people have to realize when you're at the Creative Summit and Wes says over 2,500 miles in 2022. Thanks.
In
You are
just
a brute.
2022?
Wow.
Now, I had Wes on the show before, and I told him that I fixed to the error. It can't be 2,500 miles. It's like 25 miles, right? 25.0. I told him I fixed that for him because there's no way.
I've walked in the year.
Exactly. But anyway, people, when we're at these creative summits and stuff, if you want to be on the video, you have to come up and, talk to me. Can't be camera shy. If I come over to you, you can't be, don't put me on. Now, of course, Michael's not camera shy. And of course, Brad's not camera shy. And of course, Serena's not camera shy. Right?
No, nope.
None of those people are camera shy. You should be?
I should be.
Why should you be?
But I'm not. I don't know. Why not?
No, Michael and I sat next to each other in 2019 at the Apple presentation.
Yep.
And Jari Innanen, happy holidays from Finland, the land of Santa. Oh, that's true. Happy holidays, Jari. I saw Jari at NAB. I haven't seen him at the Creative Summit yet. I don't think. He hasn't been there yet. He's been, but I saw him at NAB. I think one of the last NABs we met there. But yeah, you can't be camera shy. You got to come up. I mean, I try to get as many people as I can, of course, but I can't get everybody all the time. But I'm always filming. That's the thing. When I'm there, I'm always filming. 2016, 4 years is in that documentary. Now I want to do 2023.
I've only been there one, so.
Right.
Where'd Serena go?
I don't know. She's now guest too.
Well,
she did vanish.
Richard, I did not see you at the LA one though that we just had. Bradley was there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, there's a reason for that. It was only one day for one thing. It would take me the time I spent 3 hours, 4 hours in the airport and on the airplane up and back. There's,
understandable. Right? Sure.
Yeah. But when there's 3 or 4 days,
Richard, you were at the New York one, right? Did you go to the New York one?
No, I didn't go to the New York one. I did not go. I was going to. I was thinking about it because I could take a train up there, but I wasn't sure. I mean, why would I go there? Why was I going there? I guess is the reason. I'm not going for training.
I went to hang out with people in LA.
Right. But that's what I would go for. And where did Serena go? That's exactly what I would do. I'd go for just to hang out with people and do the expo night specifically. But
also it was at Universal Studios, so I thought if I'm bored, then I'll just go over and to the Wizarding World or the Mummy Ride or something. But I didn't end up having to do that. So that tells you that there was
and
enough
the Mummy
good
Ride's
people to talk
closing.
to
You missed
and
your
enough things
opportunity.
What?
Mummy Ride's going away. You missed your chance.
I wrote it a lot back in the day when I was in LA between 2004 and 6.
Okay.
I went like almost every week for a good 3 or 4 months there. So
really,
wow. All right.
I've been on the Mummy Ride quite a few times, and the Jurassic Park one. Yeah, I haven't been to Wizarding World yet.
I have not been on the Mummy Ride. I've been on plenty of roller coasters, but not Mummy Rides. As a matter of fact, when I was a little kid, the roller coasters were made out of wood. That's how long ago it was.
They have a few of those still, every now and then.
Do they still? There she is.
Yeah.
We're getting Serena back?
Yes. There she is.
You're back. I
Spectrum.
dreamed of Jeannie.
We got another greetings, happy and hello holidays from Philadelphia. Our friend Spencer Lewis. He's always dropping in and seeing us. So, Dason, you're one of the new guys. Tell us about yourself for a minute.
My name is Dason Ortiz. I've been editing videos since 1994. I've been using Final Cut Pro since version 1. I've been using Motion since version 1. And I run an online store called motionmastertemplates.com. My video portfolio is on dason.com. And pretty much it. Just I like creating templates in Motion for Final Cut Pro. And I love editing.
And you're very good with.
Thank you.
You are. Your motion stuff is very good. I have your templates, and as I always say, rather than me spend time learning Motion, I'd rather pay Dason or Mark Spencer $25, $30 or $50, whatever, and buy their stuff because I got enough issues with just Final Cut and Logic. That's all I need. That's plenty, right?
You know Logic too.
Oh yeah, I know Logic real well. Yeah, my background is audio. I had a recording studio in the 80s and the 90s, and I came from reel to reel, and I went to Motu Digital Performer when I first started digital audio, and then I switched over to Logic, and I use Logic now, all the time.
Cool.
So
I did not know that.
Yes. And one of the things you were having an issue with, Michael, with your transfer of audio to Pro Tools and stuff, you're having some...
With the retime, yeah, but it's been fixed. We found the issue.
What was it?
So,
well, if you can tell us in like a minute. Yeah.
yeah. It was apparently there's a bug where if you accidentally drag a clip with the handle to retime it and then drag it back to 100%, it doesn't always go to 100%. So when you go to you have to reset it, but it shows it 100%, so you don't think I got to reset this. So now we know. Now I know. They took a while to figure it out, and apparently it will hopefully be fixed in the next release or eventually.
Wow.
I've just
hidden bugs.
I've reset it because it can technically be 0.01, maybe like 101.0 or 99 point. It doesn't show you those decimals. Like be it like you think you're exactly like 50%, but you could actually be a little bit off.
Right. One of the issues that I found, unless they've changed it with Logic and Final Cut, is Logic has a very old version of XML when it exports. Okay.
Oh,
so if yes, it is an old version. They don't care about video. Logic does not care about the video, so you can't go back and forth Final Cut Logic, Final Cut Logic. It cares about the audio only, so it's using a very... when I'm saying old, I think it was... Final Cut was using 1.9 and Logic was using 1.6, something like that. Logic does not care about the video. I'm not saying care. It doesn't... The video edits don't transfer over with Logic very well. So they care about the audio.
Cat coughing up a hairball. I apologize if that's really loud on camera.
I thought that was just
hacking
you
in the background.
Exactly. We have a few cats as well. Rescue cats. All of our cats are rescue cats.
Oh yeah, same here.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Serena has a rescue dog.
Yeah, but I've had 2 rescue cats over the years. They were wonderful.
Were they?
Yeah. I didn't plan on keeping Pebbles. I fostered her and then fell in love. What can I say?
Foster fail, as they say.
Yeah.
A foster fail.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
She's a brat, but I love her.
So, Michael, what are some of the things you've been working on in LA that you can talk about?
Well, I just finished the Celebration of Black Cinema, which is a Critics' Choice Award event. And it's the second year I've done it and did on Final Cut. Right before that, I did an Avid project, which I won't discuss. And earlier this year, I did a feature film, which is the biggest film I've done, still small, about a couple $1 million. But I can't talk about it because it's not been announced yet. So we finished it. We have final color, final mix. It's been delivered. Now the producers and sales agents are out selling it. And until they do, I can't mention the title. Who's in it. I can't say what it's about. But it was done on Final Cut, and it's really cool. And I'll talk about it ad nauseum when I can.
So it's another film that was done in Final Cut.
Yeah. 100%.
I just saw something on Twitter the other day. Somebody said, "Hey, somebody asked about future global summits, and they said, I'd like to talk to people who have edited feature films in Final Cut." And somebody posted below that, well, there's only one in Final Cut 10.
No, that's not.
I'm just saying.
Final Cut, right? Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I went to look for a list. I'll put up a list if I can find them.
Yeah, there's not a lot of us, but there's a few of us.
Yeah.
Like Joel Viertel is editing one now that they're doing up in Colorado that has, I think a healthy budget. It's a much bigger film than I've ever done. And he also edited The Banker with Sam Jackson.
Right.
That was on Final Cut. And I think I know a couple other guys who cut features on Final Cut.
I do.
That's the part,
I've over a dozen independent, like low budget films in Final Cut. So I know there's some. Not.
Yeah, you've done a bunch, Bradley.
Yeah, it can be done.
But it's the
Believe
whole,
it or
it's
not.
the that open letter that came out last year that I was one of the signers for. Was it Canute who wrote that? I can't remember, but
I think it was a
that started.
compilation between him and other people.
Yeah, I think it was great because Apple responded to it, and we're making a push. They made the industry panel, and we're meeting on a regular basis. And we're allowed to say we're on it. We can't say what we're talking about, but we're meeting on a regular basis to try to turn things around. We're not trying to change the whole industry, but we're trying to let producers and production companies know that if your editor wants to work in this, or if your editor's interested, it's a viable alternative, and it'll save you money, it'll save time, and it's a really good approach. So it's getting a little bit easier for me when I do a new film to talk them into letting me do it on Final Cut. It was really hard 5 years ago. Still takes effort, but is less effort now. So that we're just trying to pave the way to make it easier for future films to be done on it.
One of the things in the documentary, the Creative Summit documentary, you probably haven't seen it, when you and Michael Matzdorf are doing your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that little clip I put in there?
Not yet. I haven't gone that far. I'll
Okay,
get there.
well,
I was busy.
No, well, it's just I put it was hard to film in those rooms because they were kind of dark, and I was using my phone, so the footage a little bit grainy. I use video.
I look much better when it's dark and I'm far away and the lighting's bad. It's a good thing.
Well, one of the things you said was in that
Actually, Mike,
presentation.
could you just back up a little bit from your camera right now? Yeah, there we go. That's better.
How's that?
One of the comment that you said in that thing was, whatever film you were talking about working with this guy, and he didn't want to do it again. He didn't want to go through all the frustrations of working with Final Cut and the translation. I don't know if it was to Avid or something else. He didn't want to do that again because he found it frustrating. Do you remember your presentation, the last Summit 2019?
Vaguely. It's been a while. That was
okay.
2019. So it's been a while. I've had producers flat out tell me no. Oh, you know what it was? That was when I was first getting, because my background's in reality TV. So when I first got into scripted films, I did a couple of films with Cartel Pictures, and nice people, low budget stuff, and they crank, Lifetime movies, Hallmark movies are cranking them out. And the first time they said no, I had to do it on Avid, so I did. The second time they got to know me, they let me do it on Final Cut. It was the finishing house that said no. They didn't want to, they were used to they called it like a widget process. They needed the footage to come in the same way and go out the same way. And they had trouble with Final Cut with someone who didn't know what they were doing. And they said no. The third film I did with them, I insisted. And it went really smoothly.
Okay.
To letting me try it. And I said, if there's any issues, I'll be here. And they tested me on that before we did the third film. They ran into some issues on another project, called me for help. And it was one of those where I couldn't do it, but I knew someone who could. So I got them the solution they needed, and they were much more open to it after that.
Well, the funny thing was, when you see this little clip, Matzdorf says they were actually hostile to you about that. That's the word he used,
yeah.
That was interesting.
The first time I went, they said real editors use Avid. I get it.
It's okay. It's okay. You're quite capable.
That should be Avid's slogan,
I've been on
by
Avid
the
30
way.
years. Avid is still my second choice.
I understand.
It's because you haven't learned Resolve yet.
I can't give myself a reason to learn Resolve yet. If Final Cut didn't exist, I'd be on Resolve.
Yeah.
But Resolve has tracks. What do I need another track-based system for?
Well, 4 out of 5 are on tracks, I guess. Avid Premiere.
Yeah.
Resolve.
Yeah. So I think the reason to use Resolve, and I have no beef with them, is there's no conform. If you're going to finish in Resolve, there's no conform. That's wonderful. But for me, I'm spending 3-4 months editing a film. I'm not thinking about how easy the conform's going to. Conform's a day and a half. I don't care. So it's going to be a little work. That's fine. I want the editing to be as easy and smooth as possible. And Final Cut's not trying to be a finishing platform for films. You can't mix in it. You can't do your final VFX in it. That's fine. I just don't want to I'll deal with a day and a half of conform, and 3 to 4 months of really good editing without tracks.
Okay. Okay. Now, what about with Lumafusion does, which is they call it it's a combination of tracks and also magnetic timeline. You can use kind of either one. You know,
That's what you have
on Lumafusion. So
Yeah.
the one thing that I miss, well, I like using tracks for audio. Go ahead.
They're here to pick up the hard drive. I'm going to be back in 30 seconds. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. We'll watch your background. There you go. So, Dason, what do you think about the state of Final Cut right now? Do you like? Well, I'm going to say I know you don't like tracks. That's for sure. Oh, let me pull him.
I like Final
listen?
Cut Pro has been able to deliver. Hello? Did I?
There you go.
There he is.
Go ahead.
Oh, that's weird.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I like Final Cut Pro. I'm able to deliver and get all the projects I need done with it, so I haven't had a complaint with it. So it's fast. I sometimes feel like I'm a VJ because I'm able to play the timeline and just start working ahead of the playhead. Start
Right.
getting things all trimmed up and cut up. Kind of like Logic in a way too.
Yeah. Now, do you edit any other NLE besides Final Cut?
No, they're just pretty much all Final Cut. That's all I use now.
Okay.
So if I was going to try something else, I might try Resolve just because I've heard good things about it. Probably the only one I've touched is probably iMovie for just playing around.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
that's it. Yeah.
That's kind of the same as Final Cut. Just a simpler version, whatever. And it has some things that Final Cut doesn't have, like audio ducking. How does that happen?
Yeah,
How does
I
that?
don't know.
I don't know.
I don't quite understand.
Because pros do their own ducking, Richard. That's the thing.
Yeah, right. Well,
Yeah.
We're fake editors. We're the fake editors.
Yeah.
Not the real editors.
Yeah. Fake
so Mike,
editors have
what
automatic
were you
rules.
saying before you had to pick up your hard drive?
Oh, you were asking me about Lumafusion. I played around with it. I haven't played enough to give. I've used it, but not a huge amount. So I don't want to comment
Right.
on something that I don't
That's-
know well.
No, it's the same as me. I use it, but I still do most of my editing on laptop, on my Mac. I mean, so
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
like it.
It's interesting when you break past that track-based paradigm for video editing specifically. I
Yes.
get Lumafusion's kind of constrained to an iPad, and it's constrained to how many video and audio layers you can kind of put in there. But honestly, Lumafusion's page, kind of the way they word their reasoning for tracks, is actually kind of a turnoff for me because it sounds like they're attacking Final Cut somehow. I don't know if you go to their website, you can read it and you can see what I mean. If it still says the same wording, I don't have. I like the things Resolve can do. I don't have. I think I've said this on your last show, Richard. I don't have fun using it, and
That's interesting.
I don't have fun using it. I'm
No, I
not
understand.
miserable.
No,
When
I
I'm
understand.
in Premiere, I'm miserable, but when I'm in Resolve, I'm getting the job done. But when I'm in Final Cut Pro, it's just there's something about having a tool that's more fun to use that I think
I agree
activates
with that.
creative part of my brain.
Mhm.
I agree. I've used. Well, I started on Premiere, went to Final Cut when it first came out, and I've used Lumafusion, and I've used Avid when I was at the National Archives, and of course Final Cut, both versions. Final Cut 10 is the most fun. It just I enjoy editing in it more than the other ones. The other ones seem more like work, I think. And
That's
but I
clever,
did,
too.
yeah, I did make myself, and I still do make myself do a couple projects on Resolve. I make myself do them, start to finish, even graphics and titles and. None of the plugins that I have with Final Cut, which are thousands, I may have over 1,000, plugins, including Dason's plugins, motionmastertemplates.com. I use his. No, I do. Listen, I use them, so I'm no reason not to tell people. And I make myself do projects. Sometimes it's a little difficult, but I just make myself from start to finish do them, so I can
Just to know it.
just to know it, because otherwise, if you just dabble, you're missing things. like titles. I didn't know how to do titles in Resolve. I had to learn how to do titles. Whole different ball game.
Are you going to try Resolve on the iPad, Richard?
It just came out today.
Yeah.
It just came out
Yeah.
of beta. It's in the App Store
Yeah.
today. I tried it. I loaded it on my iPad and it kept crashing. It won't load.
Uh-oh.
Now that's because it's an older iPad, and it says anything that'll run 16.2 it should run on, but it's not for whatever reason. Mine's like 3 years old, so I'm sure that's the reason. So
3 years old
does
is not
anybody?
that old for an iPad.
Well, tell me this: is anybody going to edit on an iPad, whether it's Final Cut, whether it's Lumafusion, whether it's DaVinci Resolve, after editing
Not-
on the Mac all these years?
Not
What do you do
unless
about
I'm
hard
at a
drive space?
convention and I have to film and get it out immediately, which I do once in a while. So the iPad's really important for that. But other than that, no, I've got 3 monitors here,
Right. Exactly.
By the way, is
That's-
my image flickering on your end? Because when
No.
when
Nope.
my mic
Not
is
at all.
live, I'm flickering. Woohoo! Okay.
Okay. Looks clean to me.
Okay.
No, it looks good. Now let me just show you my screen. Oops, let me just click on that and click on this. This is my screen. Okay. I have a program monitor, preview monitor, as you guys can see. I have audio. I have internet stuff happening that I can watch the bandwidth. I have green room, scenes. I can't do this on an iPad,
Mm-mm.
No way.
right?
Because you don't have a big enough iPad.
Well,
You get
that's
the
true.
21-inch
If I had-
iPad.
That's true. If I had a 34-inch iPad, this is an
34-inch.
LG monitor, and I really love this aspect ratio.
Well,
for using-
you can plug an iPad into a monitor, right? If it's USB-C.
Yes, I think that's correct. That's correct. You
So
can.
you can at least
And
do
I love
that.
my iPad.
Yeah.
I have it instead of a laptop. I love it, but I had it on a desktop.
Right.
Yeah, you cut to me and I was finished talking. So
Yeah.
Now you have to keep going.
hi. No, I don't. I'll just sit uncomfortably. I'm fine with that.
That's great.
Yeah, there we go.
Sit there for a while.
Michael, you know what's interesting? And when you were talking, you at one point, not recently, but you put your hand up in front of your AirPod and your audio got muffled. You did like something like this, or you did other side.
Hello.
You did it anyway. It's not happening now, but I know.
The
I said,
microphone's
what?
on one of these. I don't know.
Exactly. That's what it was. Exactly what it was.
I figured.
Yeah, I would never say never on editing on an iPad. I've always liked the idea of being really lazy on a couch, having an iPad, and then having a better version of AirPlay on a giant, 75-inch TV or something. But every year I think, is this the year I'm going to buy an iPad Pro? I haven't done it yet, so there's something not quite there for me. And it is like Phil Podgett's brought up the point that, at least for him, that by the time you get like a keyboard and a trackpad, you're pretty much paying for like a 14-inch MacBook Pro. And so he just went to MacBook Pro for his needs as a developer. And I am kind of in that boat, looking at the Resolve cut page. I've only briefly kind of interacted with it, but I didn't feel like it was very designed for touch like Lumafusion. It had some sort of touch features they thought about, and they did limit it to the cut and color page, but I found you still need like an Apple Pencil, you still need the keyboard and the trackpad. And at that point, I'm thinking, why do I have Resolve on an iPad when I could have a much more powerful machine running it?
Speaking
maybe
of
the
Apple,
pencil's cool for some of the color, but the color tools don't seem very touch based.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, well, Lumafusion was designed for the iPad. Okay.
Yeah.
So Lumafusion is the most advanced editor on the iPad, period. It's much more advanced than DaVinci is, but obviously not for color correction, but for just editing, because it was designed from the ground up. Speaking of the iPad, the pencil, here's a little tip. These things you got to charge it with a lightning,
Richard,
right?
the tip of the pencil's on the other side.
I'm sorry, the tail, the tail. So you have to charge this by plugging it into your iPad, which I find very awkward. So
Unless
I got
you have
one
the
of
newer pencil.
yes.
Yeah, the newer ones, it's magnetic. You just
I got
I
one
have
of
the newer one, yeah.
these, which is a female
okay.
lightning to female lightning, so you can just plug a lightning cable into it
Oh,
That's
okay.
awesome.
and charge it, and it works
Congress
great.
But the
just made
newer
that legal, by the
pencils,
way.
the newer
That's
pencils
handy.
are just.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, look, listen. Come on. How many
Oh my
years have they
God.
had this horrible design? I can't believe this. Can you anybody
The
believe that
turtle?
Apple just left this for years and didn't change it immediately? It's like the original. Remember the original iMac hockey puck? That horrible
Yeah.
mouse. You couldn't even tell what was up and down. It was round.
You're
They got
supposed
rid of
to
that
hold it with
after a
pencil,
while.
which nobody did. Yeah.
Yeah. But this mouse, I can't believe it's still around in 2022, and they
Why
haven't
don't they
changed it.
I wish they would put the charging port
Well, put
on the
it-
top.
Put it at the
least.
head so you can leave it charged in while it's
Yeah.
use it
Look,
while it's
you
still
just-
charged.
Yeah.
You got to talk to
What?
Johnny Ive about that one.
He's gone.
That was under, well, yeah, but that was under his era, and they haven't changed. I don't know why they haven't changed it since, but
Yeah, it's
That was-
ridiculous. It
when-
must have
when
been a
he was in
nightmare
charge
for
of
him. He must have
design.
had nightmares about that. I don't know why. Don't you think?
Yeah,
I mean,
Probably.
Matsdorf made me
I
switch
would
to
if
the
I were
trackpad
him.
anyway, so
I like the mouse itself. I like, I like it. It's
you
nice,
need to
kind of
stop
neat.
going me full frame.
Yeah,
This is freaking me out now.
yeah. There you go.
Well, I've already
Mike-
lost
Mike
3
Manners is
pencils,
a
so I'm not getting
away
another
from
one.
the camera. Yeah,
Do you guys
I'm
lose
with
your
Mike Manners,
pencils?
but I use a
I keep
trackpad.
losing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but I keep losing my pencils. I've lost 3 of them now, and I gave up. I'm
Ooh.
not getting another
I
one.
have a
My
case
wife
that holds
lost
them.
one.
Yeah.
And the new one attaches magnetically, and I don't lose them anymore.
Well, my wife,
don't know
no,
what
so
I
my wife
do.
had to go through airport security, and when she pulled the iPad out, it was magnetically connected, but it flipped off, and so she lost her pencil at the airport, so we had to get her a new one.
So we got a comment from Wes Plate. I'm off to have lunch with my dad. I've had fun listening to you all. Wishing you lots of love in 2023. Same to you, Wes.
Listen, when
Thanks,
you
Wes.
go out
Bye,
to say
Wes.
hi to your
Bye, Wes.
dad, make sure you give him a hug.
We
It's
hope
funny.
to see
Merry
you
Christmas.
we hope to see you at the Creative Summit in 2023, Wes. You've been there in the
Yes.
past. You were in the documentary in the background. I didn't get a chance to talk to you. So let me talk about what I know about the Creative Summit and what I can talk about. There is going to be no overseas global summit in the first quarter, at least. Originally, there was going to be, but now at this point, it's not going to be. From what I understand, not from what I understand, from what I've been told, they are still working on dates for sometime after the first quarter. Originally, there were 4 or 5 dates in Europe. They're in the first quarter. They're not going to be there. So just so everybody knows. The other thing is they're having a virtual global summit on January the 18th. That's the other news. So they're having, like they did in 2021, they're having a virtual global summit on January the 18th. And maybe they'll do a little more explaining at that point. But the European dates have been postponed. They're not going to happen in Q1. What happens after that, we'll have to see. They're still working on dates, supposedly, but at Future Media Concepts, we want the Global Summit in person. I mean, not the Global Summit, the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. We want it in person back at Cupertino, 3 or 4 days event where everybody can get together and have lunch and dinners.
Not the Halloween week, because Yanovich will
No.
not
No, forget Halloween week. If it's Halloween, if it's October, I won't be there.
over. Yeah.
I won't
Oh,
be there
October?
October period. All
Why
October,
the
it's
whole
not
month of
Halloween.
October? Why the whole month
Because
of
I have
October?
events all month long for Halloween.
Okay.
All
Well-
month long. That's that's the one holiday I care about. I'm
The
not missing
only time they had it in October was 2016.
No,
27
They had in October. I think I didn't go till 2019 because the first year it moved to November.
No, that wasn't the first year. It was the second year,
Yeah?
at least the second year. Yes, at least 2 times they were in November. At least 2
I
times.
think
I don't recall
2016,
that.
2017 were.
The first year Matt Storch talked to me about going, and I was interested, was October, and I said, "There's not a chance." And he said, "It's
Yeah.
not on Halloween." I said, "October's Halloween."
Well, there you go. Wouldn't it be nice if a future iPhone had USB-C and you could record ProRes RAW? I don't think you can record ProRes RAW, can you, in an iPhone?
No,
I don't think
but-
that's going to happen.
No.
ProRes, but
ProRes RAW could be recorded in an iPhone. It's the lighter version of it is the same bandwidth as ProRes 422, which is what the iPhone records. It's just red patents, because Apple would have to pay for every iPhone. They'd have to pay red.
why don't you just buy red out? I mean, red can't be that expensive.
Antitrust lawsuits, probably.
Oh, they don't
need
worry
to hire
about
Bob
that.
Iger
Come
and he'll
on.
figure it out.
Tim Cook's down in DC all the time. That's not a problem. No, what I meant was the sensor. I thought the sensor had to be a certain thing in order to get raw data out of it. It's not the case.
I mean, they can take raw photos, so I don't know why they couldn't.
Well,
take
that's
raw
true.
video.
Pro raw photos. That's very true.
Yeah, it's the red patents. The USB-C is coming to the iPhone because the European Union has forced Apple's hand on that. So we're going to have USB-C on iPhones. I'm like Mike Yanovich. When you cut to me full screen, I'm like, now I want to stop talking.
It's very nice being in a group setting with, like, a Brady Bunch shot. But yeah, the individual is
You like this
focused.
better? You like this better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just feel self-conscious, and I'm like,
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
We're like that old game show. What was it? Hollywood Squares?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
Hollywood
exactly.
Squares.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I switch everybody around anyway. I can just switch them around like this. So, Brad, what have you been working on?
What have I been working on? Last week I was at the what are they calling that now? The final
The
Cut
Global
Tour
Summit
thing.
The Global Summit is the one that's.
Well, isn't there like
Well,
a
here's what
tour in there?
Well, here's what happened. The Creative Summit was in Cupertino for 3 or 4 days. Everybody from around the world came to Cupertino for 3 or 4 days. The Global Summit's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Everybody's completely spread out into 10 different cities. So they divided it up,
Yeah,
and there's this one day for each city.
FCP Global Summit World, FCP Summit World Tour, but now
Right.
it's not a world tour as of right now.
No, it's just the U.S.
No,
tour.
I went out to that event last week, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I enjoyed the Josh Beal's presentation, which I knew he was basically going to throw out the whole editing thing, where he talked about, I like using Final Cut Pro, but I can't use it for my job. I use Avid, but today I'm going to talk about storytelling, and he broke down kind of how he likes to break down scenes and into different beats and different sections and shots, and what each shot says to him, and how he sort of figures out how to put that together. I mostly talked to people after that, like Mark and Steve had a great tips and tricks, but I definitely checked out the panel with Joel Vertel, and Mike Yanovich was on it, and Dan Sabota from Apple Pro Apps Marketing was heading that, and then there was a social media influencer person, Nikki. She was quite lively, and so it was a really good conversation with the three of them, and had a good time kind of meeting some friends out in LA that I know. I'm actually realized that there's enough people I know out there that I don't know, Yanovich, should I move out, or should I go to San Diego and hang out with Serena?
You can always come to San Diego, but I tell you, I kind of miss LA at times like that. I wish I could have been there. I was thinking about all of you.
You
And
were.
Richard, your document, yes, I was, and your documentary didn't help because it made me very homesick for our tribe. We have a tribe,
Listen, if there was a global summit like in Cupertino in 2022, the documentary wouldn't have came out. Okay.
Yeah. You think there'll be one in 23?
Yes.
Conjecture, Richard? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think what they experimented with in this global summit was a combination of things. Okay. It was coming off the pandemic and everything else involved. and they thought they'd try this. They said, well, maybe we can just spread this out and go all these different places so people that can't make it can make it. But I think that what they should do is do the Cupertino one for those of us that can make it, because that's 150 people typically, plus the staff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking close to 200 people there, and have a virtual component for people that can't make it.
Yeah.
The presentations have a virtual component. People can buy into that rather than the entire thing. But no, I definitely want to back to the. I did it so people remember what it was.
Yeah.
They don't get used to, well, this is what it is. This one day thing where no, this is what it is. So even if they want to do both things, if they want to do a global summit, start at Cupertino. That's the kickoff event. Have the 3 or 4 days, and if you want to go from there to the different cities, that would work. But give us that main event. I think when people watch the documentary,
people flew in. I mean, people flying in from Australia, from all over Europe, from all over the U.S. It was
absolutely
it's a cool event.
Yeah, very cool.
The Olympics of Final Cut. It's like walking around the Olympics of Final Cut.
Well,
yeah, you know what I wish I had? You know that picture that they took of all of us when we were at the Apple campus? That long shot of all of us together.
When
I wish I could have a print of that.
Oh yeah, the panoramic.
Yeah, except you know what happened to me? Some guy stood up right in front of me right when they took the picture. So you can see Philip and Greg, but you can't see me. I'm behind him. But I still would like to have the picture.
No, I agree.
Your documentary was good. I thought your documentary was good. I like the way you started it too.
I was trying to figure something to make, catchy, to let people know what's coming up, foreshadowing with all the.
I think Bradley's granite counter showed up.
Are you going to install that now, Brad? Are you going to install that on the air?
No, my countertops still aren't here. I had a guy that was doing some work on the cabinets and things, and he's finished, and he's like, I don't know where the countertops are, but I'm done for the day. So, it's been a day. We're supposed to go in last week.
Hope they're in before Christmas, so you guys can have Christmas dinner.
That's the plan, hopefully.
Ooh,
yeah,
I don't know. We still have countertops there. They're just now all unscrewed and loose.
No, I understand. I did that for a living. I installed kitchens and stuff for a living in the 90s. That's what I used to do. Commercial only, though. I just did, down in Washington.
Oh, okay.
I didn't install granite. That's a different. That's a specialty. I didn't install that. Yeah, that's a whole different ball game.
So, are you guys aware that the music in the documentary was written by Richard?
I did.
Written and performed. Written and performed. That was my band.
Written and performed. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Pretty cool.
You go on YouTube and you get this music packages and stuff, and you still get strikes. I still get strikes.
Yeah.
This is copywritten. Yes, even from Apple Music. Yeah. Even from music in Final Cut Pro and iMovie, you can still get a strike because the original person who had that, their parent company says go after any. I'm just saying they do that. So I'm writing my own stuff. You're going to give me a strike against? No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to give me a strike against something that I wrote myself. And now I'm doing scores and stuff. I'm writing stuff for just I'm trying to get some stuff built up for stock stuff. So.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, that was a fun documentary to do, and like I said, the version 2, hopefully it won't be out next year, but if necessary, it'll be out.
Well, those good old days or whatever. I was watching that in the last week. I watched it from my hotel room, so I was going to the global summit, and then I think I texted you, Richard. I'm like, oh, you're just trying to remind me how much better it used to be.
I don't want anybody to forget.
Central place.
For example, the restaurant we ate at, Armadillo Willie's, that's gone.
Yeah.
Right? That was a great place to eat. It was right around the corner. Mike didn't get a chance to see that because that was it's right in the parking lot. They had a restaurant there where the Vietnamese place was. I think now that restaurant used to be Armadillo.
I didn't go to the summit for the food. I mean, nice.
You're kidding.
No.
You didn't go for the food? That's what we all went for.
I know. I'm an outlier.
So
I thought the dinners were fun.
Did you
everything about the summit's fun. Everything about it is fun. Just
yes.
Are you
from the time you
are you
get
going to
up.
do a magic
Just,
show at the summit?
I did magic last time. I'll do it again next time.
All
So,
right.
Dason, did you see the summit, the documentary yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, because you mentioned
I
it.
will next time.
You mentioned
Oh,
it.
thank you.
No, the documentary I'm talking about. I did a
I can watch
documentary
it.
on a creative summit, and I mentioned you in it from 2016 because you guys are on the Facebook Live feed. You and Leo from South America, and I mentioned
Cool.
both of you guys. So,
2016. Maybe I did watch it. Wow.
well, it just came out. It just came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he just was using clips from previous summits, and yeah, there is that the component of the people who weren't there or whatever. I think you had a section with that as well.
Yeah. So
I watched it.
Cool.
Just
the good thing is they're keeping separate names. So what we're talking about is the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. That's
Creative
the one
Summit.
in Cupertino, the multi-day one. And then last year it was the Global Virtual Summit. This year it's just the Worldwide Global Summit.
we're
So they
getting
are having
confused with all the names.
what I
Creative
kind
Summit.
of gleaned, what you reminded me of, Richard, when I was watching it, is that 2016, and 2017 both had big releases of Final Cut Pro that corresponded with the timing of the summit. 2018 had 2018 had two updates that year, one at NAB and the other one at the Creative Summit, that weren't like full dot updates, but they were still really good.
Oh yeah,
And then
10.4.4 in
2019
2018 was a big one. I mean, 10.4.4 was a
Yeah.
big update.
Yeah, and then in 2019 we really didn't see anything, and that's when the pitchforks came out. But it was still a fun time to be there. I think, I don't want to it's not like that you could really put that pressure on Apple of like, this is when you have to release new software, but it certainly helps the event if there's a big release for time. And
Absolutely.
some people that I brought out to the LA event, one of the things they were the most interested in was that is it audio design, or was that what
Audio
Audio
design desk.
yeah,
Fantastic.
and they were
It's
like, hey, a
fantastic.
product announcement is a really exciting thing for a session. Were not as interesting to them because they weren't showing them anything new. And I thought that was interesting. These are two Final Cut editors that have really just been editing in Final Cut for the last year, and they edit on Alan's Cinema Therapy YouTube show. And I was like, hey, let's bring all the cinema therapy people out there. And it was interesting to hear their perspective because they've never been to any of these before. And that audio design desk was one of the most interesting
Were
product
they were there with you, Brad?
announcement.
Now I'm even more upset I couldn't go.
yeah. And
Oh wow. Cinema
Tim
Therapy
David
is a
brought his
great
daughter
show.
out.
Oh God. Jacob was there and Philip and Greg were there. No, Greg didn't go. Philip did though.
Greg did go.
Yeah.
Phil
And then
went.
Tim
Yeah.
David and his whole family, Tim and Mandy and Alicia, they were all there.
I think Mandy left before the summit.
Oh,
she came out
okay.
before, and then she left before.
Yeah.
But yeah,
She was there
Alicia
for the
was there.
screening of multi.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
multi. Yeah. I was supposed to be there for all of that. But anyway, I was thinking about you guys,
We were thinking about you. Everyone was.
I'm so
mentioning
proud of
talking about you.
Philip. Have you seen the new Builder? Have you seen the new version of Builder? I'm so proud
Yeah,
of
I
Philip
just
and
I
Greg.
just had
Yeah.
Philip on the show. Yeah. Well, first off, I'm amazed. Okay, $15 a month, unlimited transcriptions now. Unlimited free transcriptions that don't go to the cloud. Okay, they
Yes,
do not go to the cloud. So you don't, if you have security issues, people sending their scripts up to the cloud, it doesn't exist anymore. It stays local. $15 a month for unlimited transcriptions. That alone is worth it. Okay,
I'm glad to hear
that
that.
alone
Yeah.
is worth it. Let alone all the other
Yeah.
benefits of Builder. So I
And you know
just
what else
had
I know? I
One of my
told
rescues
Philip.
popped up, so she has to say hi.
that's
Oh,
beautiful.
hey,
It's a
All
beautiful
over
cat.
the bud. She's saying hello.
Beautiful
The one
cat.
thing I noticed when I was working with them and looking at the beta versions is that the transcription was 99.9% accurate, even with
Right.
punctuation and capitalization. The only thing it spelled wrong in a 1 hour transcript my name.
I was going to say Serena Catania.
My name. The rest of it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're scrambling. There've been a lot of signups since we announced that. I'm really proud of them.
That's cool.
Absolutely. So we're having comments coming in here. Here's another comment. Hoping that Apple will give us the ability to edit using text. It would be great to edit using a script. I don't want that in Final Cut.
Builder has it.
Yeah, Builder has it. I want to edit regular in Final Cut.
I'd say if you're doing documentary work or reality work, then you want to use Lumberjack Builder. If you're doing shorter videos or like corporate videos, another great tool, and you could use Builder for that too, but another great tool is Descript, which does a great job with tying the text to the video.
Yes.
My understanding is they don't integrate the same way though, like with Final Cut that Builder does. So that it's a really cool interface, and if you're doing that type of video, there's some really cool tools in it, but they haven't built that integration in. So it just depends on what you're doing. I think absolutely there's a place for all future editing tools to have a text-based, transcript-based kind of, and especially lining up with scripts, as I'm sure Yanovich has some, insight into, like Avid Script Sync, for example.
Script Sync and Avid is the one thing I miss on Final Cut.
Yeah.
So tell us
ways.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brad.
There's certainly ways like that with Command Post, and with there was an unreleased tool that I've seen that allowed you to take take scripts and break your libraries out and make keywords and things. But that's certainly an area, I think, for future development of any NLE is to take a hard look at how to integrate text-based tools. I saw Jason raised his hand. Did you have something to add to that, or are you just reading high?
Yeah, I wanted to add.
I know
the
I'm
script
full
has
screen.
a way to export. The script has a way to export XML for Final Cut Pro.
Right.
So I don't know if you're aware of that. And one thing I like about this script is now you can remove filler words, which is a big time saver too.
Yeah, you can do that, both of those on Builder. Philip did a lot of research and published a table. He published a table, about 2 months ago now, that listed all of the text-based editing apps and all of the features that each one had, so that when people are making a decision about what they best needed, they could go, and it's on his blog.
Right.
So we can find that.
The reason,
and just sorry, I was going to say, to clarify what I mean when Descript doesn't integrate as well, is there's a lot of stuff that Philip's, in terms of keywords and organizing in the browser that he's conscious of, where Descript, yes, you can take your basically your edit from Descript into Final Cut, but I don't believe it's integrated as much as a tool. But
no, you're
completely
right.
Valid. Like it's helpful that Philip put that together, because I think there's depending on what you're doing there, maybe Descript is the right way to go. I pointed people that way. I pointed people to Builder as well, and said, pick what works for you.
Well, the Descript is more than just. It's much more. It has many more features. It has social media features. You can do audiograms with it and all kinds of things. Philip is a Final Cut Pro guy. Philip and Greg are Final Cut Pro guys. So even though they do things for Premiere as well, their background is Final Cut Pro, and that's where their passion is. So, of course, Builder is going to be integrated more closely with Final Cut. Descript is just more generic, but it's a good program as well. I got Descript initially. The only reason I got it was for transcriptions. They gave, I don't know. They gave, it was the transcription. The reason I subscribed to it, because it was the same kind of thing. They gave you so much transcription per month for $10 a month. I said, that's what I want. That's the only reason I got it originally. But now $15 unlimited transcripts in Builder, that's fantastic. That alone.
I'm becoming more and more cognizant of the need for accurate closed captioning.
Yes.
And easy closed captioning, and Builder does that. So it's really helping me on the stuff that I'm working on now.
Absolutely. That's an important thing going forward. When I worked at the National Archives, I was a post supervisor down there. There was just coming into, we had to do live captioning on live streams and all that kind of stuff. And they had to go to a third party website in order to get the captionings to work. And it was just a big mess. So hopefully we can do more live captioning with live streams. Because one of the things people don't realize, and this used to get me so aggravated down there, they would put up a person who signed and a little screen on the live stream, but people who are hard of hearing, the majority of them don't do signing. Okay?
You need
Captions. But no,
Yeah.
you don't need both. The live signing is for people in the audience. That's what live signing typically is for. Captions are the way to go for people who are hard of hearing. And they kept saying, well, we have this. I said, but people, my mother, for example, at the time, she was hard of hearing. She doesn't know sign language. She doesn't know that. She needs captions. Captions. That's the way to go more universally. The signing is for people that are attendance live in the audience. That's typically what it is.
Can we pick Mike Yanovich's brain on like
Yes, we can.
how Avid Script Sync has worked for you, and what would you like Final Cut Pro to actually implement, or how could there be an improvement to that in Final Cut Pro?
So my understanding of script sync is really hard to set up, but I've never done that. That's an assist's job, and I've never experienced it. I just hear it's very difficult. But once it's set up, you know, there's in reality TV, they'll bring in interviews, you know, because there's always interviews in reality TV. You're always cutting to what the person's thinking. And in the past, we'd flip through the book, and here's the time code, and here's what they're saying, and I need an and you start flipping through a bunch of others looking for and. With script sync, it comes up in Avid. You click on the word, it loads up the clip. I mean, it's that easy. So here's the phrase I'm looking for. You can search it. You can bring up an individual word, a whole phrase. Anytime you click on it, it brings the clip up in the source monitor, and you can edit with it. So very powerful. For feature films, you're going to have, I can go to any line. If I'm editing a scene and I'm going to go to any line where I don't like the take I have, I can click on that and it will bring up every, you know, you can get to every single take and every camera angle for that line. So it's immediately available to you. It's a really powerful tool. I want it implemented pretty much exactly like that.
How
So I
how
don't
does
know
it
the
work
tech behind
when
it.
when you say like, oh, it'll bring up the lines? Does it show you like sub clips in a bin, or it just shows you that clip and you can click on it, and in the source monitor it'll be like parked on that line? Or how does it line it up visually for
For
you,
for
for
interviews where
Avid?
you only have one take, yeah, on Avid, for an interview, you click and it just literally opens in the source monitor at that point, plus or minus a few words, you know, plus or minus, depending if the time code's only every now and then, you may be off by a sentence or two, but you have the transcript in front of you, so finding it's really easy. It's been a long time since I've done it with a feature film, but you'll have lines going down the script showing every single, which you get from the script supervisor, by the way, showing you this line was done on 5 takes on this camera angle, 3 takes in this setup, 2 takes in that setup. I don't remember how Avid will bring that up in your bins. So it's been a little too long since I've done that, and I don't want to speak to it if I don't remember exactly. But you'll
Sure.
be able to find. So right now, I get the script supervisor, and in Final Cut, the script supervisor, for people who don't know, is keeping tabs of every single take on a feature film or TV show, and they'll write it down. You know, we did setup A for scene 105. We did 5 takes. Takes 3 and 4 are the circle takes, which means the director liked them. And you'll have a line in the script going down those lines saying 101 setup A and 101 setup B will be WS, which is a wide shot or a master shot. So I'll still have that. Oh, look at that. There
have
you
it
go.
right.
That's a great example. That's a good time to go to Bradley on full screen.
Hold on a second. Let me
And
put
that's
it up there.
exactly what the script
There you
yes,
go.
that's what the script supervisor does. So with that, I can
We have a
find all the
binder right
takes
here.
in Final Cut pretty easily.
Yeah.
See, his timing's not good. You take it down, and you're still on full screen for a bit, Bradley.
I
It's
know.
a little slow as a technical
I wasn't
director.
expecting
I got
that.
tired.
You would
I
never
got
say
tired
I'm
of
in a
holding
high-speed
it.
basketball game as a technical director. It's like, you scored, but we're on the guy here who scored last round. Yeah.
I
You
want
need
to
me to
know
hold
where
it
to
up
go
again?
to get better at motion.
Yeah, I know where
Let's
to
talk
go.
about motion. I'm being selfish. I'm working on a project right now, and I'm going to have to
Well,
get better
we
at
have
it.
a motion guy right here.
I
Dave?
know.
Yeah, you can reach out to me. I can do a one-on-one training if you like. I can show you how to get started or work on a project. You can
That
reach
would
out
be
to me.
awesome. That would be
So
awesome.
Where are
here's
you
a
based out of, Jason?
Excuse me?
Where
Excuse
where
me?
do you live in the world? I don't know if we where are you
I'm
in
in
the world?
Florida. Sunny
Oh, okay.
Florida.
I was just down
Okay. I
there.
think
So
Yanovich is familiar with Florida, right?
I lived in Miami for years.
oh, you did? I didn't know that.
Miami.
Yeah. Long ago.
Yeah, we just
Mhm.
moved to Tallahassee.
Well, that's a different part of Florida.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
were in South
Florida's a
Florida.
big
Yeah.
state. So here's
Yeah.
something I want to talk about for a second here. Let me pull this up.
Actually,
Look at this. Who would use this? I think Serena might right now, but who?
I'm afraid the monitor's going to fall
There's a
over.
story behind that statement.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about Serena might. Who would edit with something like that? Would anybody?
I
I
had a
prefer. I like the
friend.
Walter Murch
Someone
standing
with a
approach.
disability would.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's I'm
Uh,
not sure if you're at the dentist, if you want to edit while you're at the dentist, maybe. Right?
I did have a friend try to set up an editing station in his bed. That was a really bad idea.
Yeah. So
The
here's
mouse, like you'd have to hold the mouse there the whole time.
I
What
just saw that today. I thought that was funny. I
What
thought
is
maybe
it? What is it, Richard?
it's for
Chair for the
editing
lazy.
laying down.
For computer use laying down, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
It's a
send me
chair
the
for the
link?
lazy.
I thought maybe we'd do a GoFundMe for you, Serena, to get
Yeah,
that. For
there
you.
you could do it.
So
I can edit.
here's the announcement from Future Media Concept about their virtual day, which is brand new. This is breaking news. They just announced this. January the 18th. Final Cut Pro Summit Virtual Day is January the 18th. So I'm not sure who the speakers are or anything yet, if there's going to be whatever. But this is at the same time that they've allowed me to announce that there's going to be no European Summit, Global Summit dates for Q1. Beyond that, we'll have to see how that works out. But they are not around here for Q1. So.
They need a new graphic without all those dots in the European and Asian
Well,
part of the world there.
It's been a transition. I think this is the first time they've done it. So they tried it in the United States, and there's been transition. Plus, the other thing is, okay, they're saying they're not going to do it in Q1. Well, they're not going to do it in Q2 because NAB's in Q2, right? NAB's in April the 16th this year, so they're not going to do it in April because they're big time at NAB. They're going to be involved with that. And I don't think the summer is a good time necessarily to do that. I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out. Pardon?
Are you guys going to NAB?
Yes. I've already got my airplane tickets. I already booked them.
Yeah, I think I'll go.
I'm hoping I'm in
I'm gonna
Tahiti
be-
in April on a film, so.
Oh, really? I'm going to be in
Yeah.
Costa Rica. I think I'm going to be probably flying right from Costa Rica to Vegas.
It starts on a Sunday again. On April the 16th,
Yeah.
which is my mother's birthday celebration. So that's okay. So, yeah, I'll be flying in Sunday morning, and typically is what I do. I keep honing my craft, my NAB craft, on what I take with me and whatever. Speaking of that, Michael, do you shoot yourself at all? Well, I'm doing any shooting.
I have.
Only when he's
not for
frustrated.
film. Yeah. Oh, who shot this footage? It's awful.
I know. Where's my coverage?
I dabbled in camera work long ago, and I've got still a DSLR, which I love, but I don't really shoot for doc. I can. I'm not an analog camera, but I don't really do it professionally anymore.
Brad, do you like your 6K, your Blackmagic 6K? Would you buy that again?
But yeah, I mean, I kind of was looking at the Sony FX30, but I don't shoot enough to justify buying a lot more or new camera gear.
Right.
So we use my pocket cinema camera occasionally on a short film, or When we do episodes of Cinema Therapy, it's one of the cameras. But and honestly, I could be talking to you through it right now, but was literally just too lazy to pull it out of that bag sitting over there and put it on this little tripod here, and then plug it into the HDMI cable here, and then power up my A10 Mini Pro, which is down here. If I hooked up all those things, I could look a lot better.
Chair that Richard just put up, by the way, this seems that level of laziness.
It's just I have to so occasionally when I have to actually use the camera for something else, I can't leave it here. And then once it's put away in the bag, I don't want to pull it all back out again. So maybe I need to buy a second one so that I can just have it sitting. Oh, there you go, iPhone.
I love this.
Have a little iPhone holder. Yeah.
The magnetic thing for the tripods. Yeah. I don't think they were thinking about that when they first put the magnetic thing in the back. Speaking of that, so Serena, last time you were on the show, we were talking about you can't, if you hook up here, you can't charge the phone, right? If you hook up like an audio device or something or a hard drive.
Right.
But if you use this, you can charge the phone.
That fixes it. Who makes that? I want one.
Use that to charge the phone, and then you can still have the lightning port available for a hard drive or external storage, or in my case, audio. So you can do both at the same time. I don't know if Apple ever thought about this as being a way to hook up a phone as much as just a nice, convenient charging thing. This is
Speaking of iPhones, I was reading Tyler Darlington's comments, and I guess what he was trying to clarify is using the iPhone as an external recording device, which would still require the patent because Atomos didn't get around the patent and they're just recorders. Also, I don't really know the point of using an iPhone as an external recorder when you can already buy a Ninja V. But it's not a loophole. Atomos actually pays Red for every Atomos recorder. They actually do pay Red a license, so they didn't get around it that way anyway. Either way, pay that.
I don't want to record ProRes RAW on an iPhone.
Not as a recorder. I wouldn't mind it if it gave me an option. If it doesn't take any more room than ProRes 422 and it already records ProRes 422, I don't mind the option of ProRes RAW, but they gotta figure that out. Anyway, sorry to.
And you gotta get a USB-C port. They gotta get a Thunderbolt port actually, because the iPad's got the Thunderbolt, right?
Yeah.
So last time I was surprised it's Thunderbolt. Yeah.
Yep.
So the reason I was asking about
my iPad is USB-C. I'm on an iPad right now that's the Air. With
the new Pro is Thunderbolt.
It's actually Thunderbolt.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so that's interesting. That's interesting because it's using the M1, M2 chip, right? And that's Thunderbolt. Yeah. So that would make sense.
Great.
The reason I'm asking is because I'm a GH4 guy and a GH5 guy up to this point, but I'm going to make the switch to Sony at this point. I got to have better low light, okay? Better low light, and the Sony a7S III is the king. The a7S II is the king. Now the a7S III is the king. And the other thing is autofocus. They have both of those features, which are really important to me. Low light is really important, especially going through this summit footage. Whenever I was recording presentations, I'm not recording the presentations to show the full presentation. It's just to have snippets for like this documentary.
Right.
The low light was killing me. In those rooms. Even with the
that's true of a lot of conferences. They don't light the speaker properly. It's really tough when you're trying to cover one of those for a client and they don't even bother to light the speaker. It's one of my pet peeves. I actually bring extra lights so that I can ask them if I could please pop that a little bit.
Stage lighting is not the same as lighting for film. It's completely different. If you ever watch a band being, their stage presentation and the flashing lights, it's horrible for filming. So even though the other thing is, listen, don't put no ferns in your background, please. Don't put ferns. I hate that when they put plants up. I absolutely hate that. Well, they had that one was one guy between two ferns, whatever that comedian was.
Zach Galifianakis, yeah.
Yeah, I love him. He is so funny, but I hate ferns as backgrounds and whatever. But anyway, Richard, so I'm going to get the try to get. I'm going to wait for the A7S4. Hopefully, it'll come out maybe this year. It's set to see. If not, I'll get the A7S3.
FX3 or FX30, the smaller ones that are.
Are they good in low
video-centric.
light, like the A7S3?
The 3 is a full size sensor, so you could definitely look into that, and they're more geared towards video ergonomics. The FX30 that everyone said is still good, but it's a Super 35 sensor, so it doesn't capture quite as much light, but it's still really good.
Yes, we got a comment from Alex 4D. Just
Oh,
arrived.
tell
Has
him
there been talk? Has there been talk of the Final Cut Pro Global Summit virtually on January? Yes, we did. We already covered that. And Alex, we also covered that they're not going to be any European dates in Q1.
Just realized why there haven't been any major Final Cut Pro updates, and it's because Alex Gollner wasn't
Hasn't been
traveling
on a
during
plane.
the pandemic.
Exactly.
So he hasn't been on a plane, so they haven't been able to release the new features.
So can we do a GoFundMe to get Alex an airplane ticket every so often so
Yes.
we can increase our chances of getting Final Cut Pro
Is
Yeah.
that what it
updates?
is? Are the releases when he's on an airplane?
Well, it
That's
happened
happened.
twice.
I
Twice.
didn't know this.
It's
Final
kind of
Cut Pro
like
2 and Final
tradition.
Cut Pro 3. 10.2 and 10.3.
10.3, yeah.
He talks about it in the documentary. I interviewed him in
I
2016.
haven't gotten that far, Richard. I'll watch it. I'll
Okay.
get there.
I'm sorry. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it for you.
You know, you guys, I'm really sorry, but I have to go. I'm interviewing. I don't know if you guys know Mick Reed from Clippin. Have you met him? I'm interviewing him at 1:00 for OWC Radio, so I have to get ready for that and change my background and stuff. So I have to
Okay.
do
Okay.
a hat change.
Good
I'm
seeing
sorry,
you.
guys.
Great
It's
to
really
see you,
nice
Serena.
to
We should
see
catch
all
up.
of you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. all
Absolutely,
that
Serena.
stuff.
We'll talk offline.
Thank you all so much.
Oh,
Take
I got
care.
someone at the
Thank
door.
you.
Bye, Serena. Nice meeting you.
Bye.
Bye, Serena.
Bye.
So let me see what I got here. There we go. So I have a 4-up screen. I made all these screens ahead of time, depending on who was going to show up, because Ian Anderson might join us. He said it's like 5:00 in the morning there in Australia. He said he might pop in. So if he pops in, I
Who's
got a
that?
different screen set. He's over.
Oh,
One
he's the
time,
lead singer of Jethro Tull. No, I know. I love Ian. I know Ian. He's great.
One time he was Brad. Had Brad on the show, and somebody knocked on his door and delivered a sub. He wasn't expecting. It was like Subway or one of those people, and they just walked in and handed him some subs right on the air. I said, "Man, that's nice to have."
Who ordered it? Like
It was
nobody's
just they
ever
were doing a
delivered food to my
promotional in the
house.
area. Promotional in the area,
Wow.
and they were just knocking on people's houses or whatever the heck whatever the heck he lives. So it's warm in Florida. I was just down in Florida last week, Jason, attending a
That's-
family
yeah.
wedding, and I know it's warm in L.A. We're down to what
wearing a
temperature
sweatshirt.
here? Oh, what's the temperature though?
You know,
It's
a
not-
chilly 60 something.
Yeah, exactly. A chilly. This weekend, Mike, we're going down to the teens during the day.
I used to
Christmas-
live there. Why do you think I got out?
No, I'm talking about. I live in Maryland.
Yeah, I used to live in Maryland. Well, I was in Northern Virginia, and my parents are in Potomac.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know
I
that.
went to school at George Mason, so I was in Fairfax and Burke, that whole area. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
So,
cool.
yeah. Oh, there's somebody said there's a rumor that the Sony S line, Alpha line, will be discontinued. I don't think so. I think the A7S3 is one of their most popular cameras, the 2 and the 3. So Alex says if I can get someone to pay for me a booth at NAB, I'll be a nice long flight after Easter. So, anyway, we're talking about Alex paying for Alex to be on a plane so we can get some nice Final Cut Pro updates. So, Jason, what do you think about the update schedule of Final Cut Pro in 2022, as far as feature updates?
There were
I don't know.
updates.
What do you mean?
We have to give them credit for duplicate ranges or dupe detection.
Yeah, but that was
give them credit for that. That was a
that was
long-standing
9 months ago.
that was
We got.
2022, though.
I know, but I'm
This is true.
saying we got to have more than 2 feature updates in a year. Okay,
we
that
didn't.
seems that's pretty sparse. That's pretty sparse. No, I know dupe detection was a big one, but it also took them 11 years to get there.
Yeah.
So give them
I
credit
think it
for
took
it.
a
And
lot of pressure from the community to get there.
well, that's good. Pressure. I like giving them pressure. That's fine.
Mhm.
They just like to see more than 2 in a year. That's my point. But the other thing was the audio, the voice isolation was a fantastic, unexpected feature. That one I use it all the time.
It saved a scene in the film I was just cutting. Where
Is that right?
They were, and I can't talk about the film, but I
Right.
can be very vague. They shot a scene in an RV, and it started raining, and mid dialogue, rain hitting the metal roof, and we're gonna, you do ADR, you record the audio later, and you fix it.
Right.
Didn't need to. I put on voice isolation, and I forgot there was rain in the scene until I sent it to mix. I'm like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to do what? And they just copied what I did, voice isolation there. It's great.
Right. Yes. And I used it in the Final Cut Pro Summit Creative Summit documentary quite a bit, because when I record in those, like the expo night and in the bar when we do the trivia, I can't hear anything. It's so loud in there. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing that the audio is coming through on these live streams. Just guessing. But I applied, a certain amount, 50% or 40% or 60% or whatever, and it cleans it up really nice. And it makes it really, really usable.
I wonder if they can add it to Logic.
Pardon? Yeah, I wish they'd add it to Logic. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Final Cut has borrowed enough Logic plugins, right? So can they please get that over to Logic? Absolutely. That's a good point, Jason.
Just looking
Alex
at
says-
Oliver's. Oh, Alex has another one.
They keep their bug fix update less than 90 days apart. Final Cut remains free via the trial version.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
It'll hack if they update within 90 days, you can restart your trial for free for another 90 days. So
90
Oliver
days
has a comment that he says this year was not good for FCP. And no bug fixing. They've done some bug fixing, but I haven't heard of the title template into that one.
I don't know about that. RAM bug. It's a RAM. I don't know.
I need to research more on that, because that might explain an issue somebody was having the other day that I was trying to help. Dunking.
You mentioned collaboration. That's clearly the big one.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
Collaboration.
Import export for Premiere for cross editing. I don't give a crap about that. What I would say is that Adobe could fix that on their end if they did a better job with the FCPro. Resolve does a pretty good job with it. Like that to me is all on Premiere side, because they're using an old XML, and that's all on them. Like if they updated and they supported new Final Cut XML, you could have that. I don't do that because Premiere makes me miserable, and I don't want to install my machine ever again. Ever.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. I haven't used Premiere for a long time. So
absolutely collaboration though. Absolutely, like 110, 100, 200%.
That's a no-brainer.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and I asked Philip this: are they going to, in order to do collaboration effectively, are they going to have to rewrite Final Cut? Because right now it seems like it really can't do Final collaboration.
I would argue, I don't know enough about all of that, but I've definitely seen things indicated by Chris Hawking that, and at least in past versions, they have what they called guards for events and projects that were basically the only reason why you would put a guard in place is so that you could lock individual events and projects so that you could open up a library for collaboration. Okay. I don't know outside of that. I assume maybe intended for a local server, but they could definitely, they may have to rethink some things in order to have like cloud-based collaboration like Blackmagic is doing. I don't know what that looks like. I just know they need to do it, and they've also have known that they've needed to do it for ever since Final Cut 10 came out.
Yes.
So that's on, however they're going to do it. It's something we needed. It's something I expected 3 or 4 years ago to happen. So I'm still bewildered on why it hasn't, If Apple's just they're too much perfectionists or what the reasoning is, I don't know.
That's not a good excuse. I mean, come on, they've got Apple's got plenty of money to take care of some of these issues. They're just like not giving it to the Final Cut Pro team or something. I'm not sure exactly what's going on.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I still have. It's early days. I have high hopes for the industry panel that we're doing on a regular basis. I'm. It's still early,
sure.
and I have no idea what's going to come of it. But I like to think we're going to see some changes down the line that are going to come from that, and I'm hoping that's one of them.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But as far as bug fixes for Final Cut Pro, we've had 3 bug fixes in a row. Okay, we had 10.6.1 was a bug fix. 10.6.2 was the features, the 2 features. 10.6.3, 4, and 5 are all been bug fixes optimization. And it's very unusual to put 3 bug fixes in a row. I questioned when that happened. When that happened, I said, usually there's 1 or 2, and then there's a feature update. 1 or 2 and a feature update. This time there was 3. So I just said, well, that's clearing the plate.
It's clearly they're working on something big like collaboration. They need to get it right.
And probably that's what I figured too. And it's probably going to be 10.7. That's what I figured. They're clearing the plate,
I said just jump straight to 11.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That could happen at any time.
Yeah.
That could happen at any time. They
Especially
went from 7 to 10.
The X. They drop the X. It leaves it free to jump to 11 and 12, whatever.
Yeah. 11.
So Alex says he found references to guards hidden in Final Cut Pro 10.0 point something.
Yeah. It wasn't earlier versions. I don't know how it works now. I know if you have a library on a server, somebody has it open, it puts a lock on it so nobody else can open it. We need just even a more granular version of that would give you something like Avid bin locking. But I think they could do better than that too. I think
that's what I'm saying. They can't
especially
just come
with
in
this new freeform app that Apple released. Clearly, there's people on the software side at Apple that have ideas about how to collaborate through the cloud. So video is just a lot more complicated in terms of moving things back and forth.
And
but we've
security.
sort of solved that, whether it's LucidLink or Frame.io, or I know Alteon just released a new, they're testing some stuff.
Or extension,
or workflow extension for Final Cut. I think as far as moving media and linking media, there's a lot of solutions we've already come up with for that. We just need a way for, if I'm working on something with Yanovich or with the four of us, that we can all pop in the same library and we can see who's working on what event or project. I know Yanovich hates every time I say that word project referring to a sequence.
I won't use it.
Yeah.
It's a stupid word.
I am contributing. Here's my swear jar. As you can see, I've got some coins in there. So
good, yeah.
And
we did a big group thing where I told everybody if the big Final Cut, if they ever use the word project, they had to put $1 in the swear jar because it's just confusing. And I don't care if it says you create a new project. That's fine. We call them sequences. Timeline.
I agree.
I don't care.
I call projects what they are, which is a all-encompassing, container, not the timeline. I call it the timeline or a sequence.
Library are synonymous.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
I'm
Final
not
Cut 11.
That is such a stupid thing they haven't changed because it affects working with anybody else in the industry. So I just talk to them like I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell them at your meeting? Have you told them that? Okay.
I promise you. This is something I've shared with them on multiple occasions.
Okay.
And they know about the swear jar. I go, it's such a stupid word to use. And they finally made where you can, close previous timeline. They even use the word timeline in there.
Sure they do.
It used to be timeline. And
absolutely.
The only place they need to change it is in the file new, create new timeline instead of project. I think that's or project settings needs to be timeline settings. And
there's
only
also
a handful of places
smart collections and XMLs and other things.
That's
but yeah,
fine.
I agree.
I don't care what it says in the XML. I'm not
find replace. Right? It's as easy as editing a Word document, right?
That way. They said that's not how programming works. I'm like, sure it does.
Well, I'm glad.
My program was in BASIC with Beagle Brothers, if anyone remembers that.
I don't know what that is.
Stuff from the
comic
1980s.
book?
DOS-based programming stuff. No, it was a company that did programming in DOS and a lot
Okay.
of tips and tricks and fun stuff in early Apple II days.
Okay. That's before if not before my time, but before my time with computers. I didn't get involved with computers till the late 90s. I had a recording studio. I had reel-to-reel decks. Everything was analog. With the exception, I had, I used to sync a 16 track and an 8 track together to get effectively a 24 track. It was synced via SMPTE time code. You had to take one track on each deck and put your SMPTE sync track on that, and then this machine would keep them all. I'd have 22 effective tracks of analog. I still have that system. I still have my decks. I don't use them anymore, but I just digitized all the tapes that I did have, so I got to sell them. There's very robust analog reel-to-reel deck community. I mean, tens of thousands of members on Facebook that I belong to.
I didn't know that. Cool.
Wow.
Yes. They're even making new magnetic tape now and stuff. So,
Wow.
I have those decks still. I'm going to be selling them at some point because I don't use them.
That Kodak Brownie camera didn't seem to go anywhere. Do you remember they were trying to bring back like shoot on 8mm film and we'll like digitize it for you? And it was a few years ago that it died. Do you see Alex comment on, he's showing what he actually found and the reference. Yeah. And that you can also look up. There's an Apple patent that talks about this idea. So look, there's the word sequence for Yanovich.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Project.
Oh.
The idea that they had for collaboration in the patent was that there would be story segments, so you could actually have multiple editors working within the same timeline, and they would just have different sections of it would be locked or guarded, and you could be editing an intro and somebody else could be editing the middle and somebody else could be editing the outro, depending on how you define that. But this is a decent question.
It's a good question though, because I hear it all the time. What are the panel's hopes for motion features for motion users? Jason?
I don't know. As far as 3D, I like it a little easier to bring in 3D objects instead of having to do the whole, what's it called, reality converter. I forgot the name of the program. You have to do this kind of workaround to get 3D objects into motion.
I remember that.
It'd be nice if it can just bring in object files straight into motion. Make it more of a 3D program where you have multiple layers that can work with 2D and 3D. I'd love to see more 3D functionality.
Yes.
I like to have it like the old ways where you can actually drag a motion file and bring it into Final Cut Pro without having to export out and without having to make it into a template file. And there's a bunch of more things that could be added to motion. But the most important thing that I want is to still keep it clean, like the clean interface. That's what I love about motion. A lot of other tools, it's just so many panels and windows and things hidden here and there. One thing I really love about motion is the simplicity and the ease of use.
Yeah. I ran into an issue with 3D objects and 3D text and 2D layers where you could light the 3D objects, you could turn off the environmental lighting or whatever, and you could light it with your own lights. But then when I tried to use like the camera depth of field and try to get the 3D text and the 3D objects to respect the same depth of field, it seems like the 3D objects ignored like depth of field settings from the motion camera, which I thought was really strange. I don't know if you've run into those issues, Dason, but that's been some issues. Well, where did Dason go?
I got to switch.
Richard.
Sorry, hold on a second.
There you go. There he is.
Yeah.
Those are the issues I ran into immediately with playing with 3D.
Yeah, with 3D, it's one of those things that you have to finagle and try to get things to work. Sometimes things don't work that you expect to work. So you kind of have to do workarounds or just, if it's something very complex, that's when I just open up Blender and just do it inside of Blender.
Yeah, but motion's not really a true 3D program.
No, it's
right?
more like
pseudo.
2.5.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I've
Still a
heard.
great tool for $50. I mean, you can do a lot.
No,
with
it's listen. I just wish I wish the Final Cut Pro team and the Logic team and the Motion team, they would share things. Like, I want the voice isolation to go to Logic, right? I want the scrolling timeline from Logic to go to Final Cut, and I want
Yes.
the Motion team to give Final Cut the beautiful keyframe editor that it has. The sophisticated.
Nice.
And it just dropped down in the timeline, do your keyframes, and it goes back up again. Because Final Cut's way of doing keyframes, some of the stuff is kind of cool. You can drag, like in the video animation lane, you can drag a couple of keyframes left and right. But trying to get, finagle keyframes in Final Cut is, like I always say, it's like doing them on an Etch-a-Sketch. If anybody knows what that is, where you have the two dials, horizontal and vertical.
I haven't used keyframes in a very long time. I use everything I do is behaviors. I use behaviors instead of motion, which to me it's a big time saver, and it has added bonuses as far as when you make templates. It just makes it a lot easier to adjust things and play around. I just find a big time saver using behaviors. It takes a little bit of a learning curve, but I just something I enjoy doing.
How would you do that in Final Cut? There's no behaviors in Final Cut.
I don't know. No, it'd be nice if they did.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work. I understand how they work in Motion. Now, every time I dabble in Motion, I'm going, this is really cool. This is really cool. And then it's like, it's so complex to me. Well, people think that Logic is complex, and to me, Logic is fantastic. I don't do a lot of MIDI stuff, but I do analog audio, and I know the mixing board, and I know plugins. I know how to adjust all of them. So, because my background is audio, but Motion is like, I really like it, but I just dabble in it. You guys, Dason, you and Mark Spencer and the other people that do the plugins, thank you. Especially when they go on sale. I just buy a bunch of them and say, okay, really just, buy a group of them.
We need a
was
plugin
just
manager
looking
in
at
Final Cut.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice.
You know,
I have
well,
so
just
many, and I'm assuming it's going to slow down my system, so I turn them off, and I install them when I need. It'd be nice to have a manager.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just make it organized, just drag and drop like you can in the browser, the regular browser, drag and drop things into different folders and have favorites. And you said, turn them off. Turn them off if you're not using
it.
them.
Has its own that I use to turn things on and off as needed.
Yes.
But everyone's got their own kind of way of doing it. It'd be nice to have a centralized management system.
After 11 years?
Yeah.
Yes, there's absolutely
I'll take collaboration first.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Please
please don't release an iPad version of Final Cut before you figure out collaboration. Also, collaboration is definitely a prerequisite for getting iPad Final Cut editing to work right. So,
Michael,
if you want Final Cut editing on the iPad, fine, but that's...
Michael, can you please threaten pitchforks for collaboration? Because it worked in the documentary, okay?
It did.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be happy to.
Okay.
Next meeting. Done.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Hey, Richard, what do you find most complicated about Motion? Where do you get stuck, or do you find it's the friction?
When I get involved with an app like Final Cut in Logic, I really go into the weeds on it. Okay? Every time I start getting into the weeds on Motion, I'm like, do I want to spend time doing this, or do I want to go back to Final Cut in Logic? So that's what happens. I go back to Final Cut or Logic. So it's just it's like Logic. I could spend time on it, but I just rather spend it in Final Cut and Logic. That's
I
all.
could answer.
And you guys are so far advanced on it that I'll let you guys do it.
So for me, Motion.
Ooh, that's an interesting comment there. Okay.
Yeah, he does. I'll wrap up this thought real quick then. For me, behaviors don't always behave the way I think they're going to behave, and I don't know how to always get them to behave. So I feel like I'm never taking full advantage of Motion because I don't dig deep enough into behaviors, and I just go back to keyframes because keyframes force the animations to do what I want them to do, and that's my hang up. But I see people do amazing things with behaviors, and I think, man, I tried starting to play. I just fall back on keyframes, so I don't feel like I'm taking full advantage of the power of motion because of that.
Behaviors.
So that's my short
Makes
short
sense.
answer. I think behaviors are awesome. They don't behave the way they're going to.
Well, the other thing is you guys are so far advanced in the motion. You make great plugins, Jason. Okay, you guys,
Thank you.
all the FX Factory and Motion VFX
Motion
and
VFX.
yours Motion, all these places and Mark Spencer.
FX.
Yes, the Brett FX. Yes, I have some from all of you guys. You're so far advanced. When I see some of these plugins, I'm like, fantastic. I could never spend an amount of time to get the quality of the, and also the sophistication of plugins. I'd be forever getting that done.
I'd also say that it's also people who have, like, Alex is another one of these too that have
yes, Alex too, absolutely.
Eye for design,
know.
and I'm just browsing Dason's website. Like, people who have an eye for really good design, it's like you could spend all this time learning the software, but if you don't have that artistic eye for the design, then it's just not going to look very good anyway. So it's a graphic design app, and graphic designers, can take full advantage of that.
Yeah, that's another excellent point. So that's
stuff on
can draw on it, too.
motionmastertemplates.com. It's beautiful stuff.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're coming up
make
on
it
1
that pretty.
o'clock, Richard. I promised my
I'm
kids I'll be
blushing
taking
here.
them for lunch.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Is your cat there one
One
more
thing I
time,
wanted
Michael?
Say again?
Is your cat there one more time? We can see your cat.
No, the cats are jumping out. No, I don't know where they are right now. I think they're napping.
Okay.
So otherwise,
I think we're going to sign off here anyway. So thank you very much, Michael, for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, Michael.
Absolutely. Jason,
Okay.
Brad.
Thank you.
Season's greetings to everybody. Merry Christmas, whatever holiday you guys celebrate. I celebrate Christmas here. As you can see, Santa Claus is
Merry
back
Christmas.
there.
Happy New Year.
One thing I want to say real quick. I always wondered, the Australian guys, how they celebrate Christmas, because it's always warm there. And then I went down to Florida last week, and I said, oh, this is how they do it. It's warm. It's warm here as well. Christmas trees
everywhere.
everywhere.
In a swimsuit.
story happened in the Middle East where it did not snow. That's all I'm going to say on that matter.
Well, there you go. That's another good point.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to finish up here. Thank you very much, everybody. Season's
Thanks,
greetings to
Richard.
everybody.
You guys.
Thank